Hello, this is Dark Knight Apologetics. I am your host, Jeremy Knight. Stick around to the end of the video for a code word that you can put in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and enjoy the show. Okay. Hello. Okay. Welcome to another episode of Why I Left YEC. And of course YEC is Young Earth Creationism. And we are talking about why I left it. So this is going over reasons that concern why I left. And in this episode we're going over geology reasons for why I left. So because I'm an American, we will be focusing on one specific geological formation for this episode. And that geological formation that we will be focusing on is the Grand Canyon. Now, I'm sure there are other geological formations around the world that demolish the whole young Earth argument, but because I'm an American, we're focusing on the Grand Canyon. Okay? So, enjoy this episode. Okay. This is episode 2 of Why I Left Young Earth Creationism. And we're going over geology problems. We'll also be going over another aspect of the pseudohistory problem. And we'll also be discovering where the intellectual dishonesty lies in young Earth creationism. So yeah, we will be discussing a little bit of intellectual dishonesty. So that should be interesting. I really hope you enjoy this discussion. Okay? Okay, so we are talking about the Grand Canyon and how it demolishes the whole young Earth argument. Now, I could just give you the age of how long the Grand Canyon took to form and in the video there, but I would probably have young Earth creationists complaining in the comment section if I did that, because, well, there are a lot of young Earth creationists that use the Grand Canyon as evidence of a young Earth. It isn't. It very much is not. And literally all of their arguments are wrong. And we are going to show a few articles and give a summary of those articles in this video. I will not be reading the articles in their entirety because most of them are rather lengthy, but I will be linking the articles in the description as evidence of my argument. And I will give summaries of the articles. But first, let's talk about the age of the Grand Canyon that has been determined by science. When I am talking about age, I'm talking about how long the Grand Canyon took to form. Okay, so over here we have Google, and it gives an age of, noticed I searched how long did the Grand Canyon take to form, and it says the Grand Canyon took about 5 to 6 million years to form. The Grand Canyon measures over 270 miles long, up to 18 miles wide, and a mile deep, making it one of the biggest canyons in the world. In uh, This natural landmark formed about 5 to 6 million years as erosion from the Colorado River cut a deep channel through the layers of rock. Luckily, that segment does not come from Wikipedia. It comes from this. So, yeah. The Grand Canyon definitely did not form quickly. Science has determined that. Okay? Okay, I just wanted to tell you that there is a reason that I am using the specific articles that I'm using. The reason I'm using these specific articles is because these are all articles I read back when I was in college. So I've read them once before. I know what they say. And I read them back then because these are the articles that helped me realize that young Earth creationism is false. So that's why I'm using these specific articles, okay? Okay, let's see what we're doing here. Okay, we are looking at this article. It will be linked in the description of this video. I've read some of the articles linked in this article, but these are all articles that I read back when I was in college, and I would research um, the flaws of young Earth creationism, because back when I was in college, I was questioning my faith, and I came across some of these articles. These articles helped me realize how, well, wrong young Earth creationism is. These articles helped me realize that young Earth creationism is false. You have this book review of Grand Canyon, A Monument to Catastrophe. It's a book written by some young Earth creationists trying to explain how the Grand Canyon could have formed due to the Noah flood. You know, the supposedly global Noah flood that wasn't actually global and didn't happen anything like the young Earth creationists claim it did. You know, that flood. Basically, they try to explain how the Grand Canyon could form due to a global flood that never happened, and they fail miserably. And then you have the Coconino Sandstone. The Coconino Sandstone is an obvious desert formation of sandstone that they try to explain as occurring underwater. Doesn't work. It's obvious desert sandstone. It obviously formed because of wind. It doesn't work, no matter how much they try to say it does. It just doesn't. Then you have the desert problem. Uh, Basically, you have a Navajo sandstone formation that is also an obvious wind deposited desert sandstone geological formation, and it really does not work. You have stratigraphy. This is a long article going a, a very long way trying to show how all the rock layers in the Grand Canyon are millions of years old. They are indeed millions of years old. It goes into fossils and basically shows how the fossils, uh, well, for lack of a better word here, are way too organized to have been laid down by a global flood. If the fossils had been laid down by a global flood, they would be randomized. But we will talk more about fossils in the next video, because this one is mostly over the rocks. You have an article by this guy. One of my favorite parts that I read in one of these articles is the lengths that young Earth creationists will go to try and prove their precious young Earth model. The one that they're religiously dedicated to and won't waver from no matter what the evidence says. And that's pretty much the truth. They are religiously dedicated to it in kind of a dogmatic way, and not in a good sense. No matter how much evidence you show them that the Earth is, well, billions of years old, they dogmatically stick to this Earth is only 6,000 years old BS, and spout a lot of malarkey trying to claim stupid stuff. It's basically what some atheists would call lying for Jesus, which is something even Jesus wouldn't want you doing. So stop doing it. My favorite one is the canyon deception. Basically, you have a smaller canyon that formed in 6 days, and they use this smaller canyon to try and say that the Grand Canyon formed in 6 days. It doesn't work that way. Even if you scale up the smaller canyon, you still have 1.5 million years of formation to try and get the Grand Canyon. It doesn't work. Basically, like flat earthers, young Earth creationists cannot scale. So, yeah, you have your fictitious rivers. They'll propose rivers that never actually existed, that we don't even have any dry riverbeds of. Yeah, dry riverbeds are a thing. We don't even have any dry riverbeds of these fictitious rivers and fictitious lakes. And they'll try to say that these fictitious rivers and fictitious lakes that we don't even have any dry riverbeds or dry lake beds for, yeah, those are things, they exist, formed the Grand Canyon. You're just pulling things out of your behind now. So, yeah, basically, none of this stuff is right. Uh, Young Earth creationism is completely wrong. This will be linked in the description. Most of these articles are pretty lengthy, but they're worth the read. Uh, if I remember correctly, this one is divided into 5 parts, and part 3 is missing. But it's still worth the read for the 4 parts that do exist. But anyways, yeah. There's definitely a problem here. Okay? Young Earth creationism, just plain wrong. Okay. Okay, let's talk about another aspect of the pseudohistory problem. As I've explained before, the pseudohistory problem is where you have the appearance of history that if young earth creationism was true, never happened. And in this case, we're talking about geology. So you have the appearance of millions of years of geology that, if young earth creationism was true, never happened. And basically, no matter how much they try to uh, wow you with fancy words and wow you with big words and uh, try to squeeze what is obviously millions of years of history. If they knew anything about geology, they would know it's millions of years of history into about 4,000 years. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. So either you have God creating the earth with the appearance of age, which, well, doesn't work no matter how much you want to think it does, which is uh, it's deception. God doesn't do deception. So it doesn't work. It's just weird, okay? So yeah, just trust the science because the science is right. The Earth is indeed 4.5 billion years old. It No matter how much the young Earth creationist tries to fool you, it really doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Okay? Another one of my favorite things that I read in one of these articles was a part where if the young Earth creationists actually did their math, Noah would have boiled to death. All of his animals and his precious boat and his entire family would have boiled. It just would have simply gotten too hot for them to continue existing. That's in one of these articles. Apparently, young earthers can't do math. So, yeah. So, yeah, young earth creationists, they're not just scientifically illiterate, they're also mathematically illiterate, apparently. So, yeah, it, it, it doesn't work. Man, am I happy I don't believe in young earth creationism anymore. And luckily for me, my faith was never built on young earth creationism being true. It was built on, well, a more solid footing. So when I was questioning young earth creationism, my faith was able to survive it because my faith was never built on young earth being true. My faith was built on trust in Jesus and trust in the Bible. So yeah, I was able to keep my faith because it wasn't built on this stuff. It wasn't built on young earth creationism. So yeah, you don't have to be a young earth creationist to be a good Christian. Remember that. Okay? Okay, there was something else I wanted to talk about. I think I wanted to say something about dinosaurs. So yeah, this is kind of a thing about fossils, but I wanted to include it in this video because it's kind of funny. Anyways, another thing that I read in one of these articles was something about dinosaurs. Uh, how they are living, uh, laying eggs and pooping. The pooping part, that was the funny part. All in what was supposed to be floodwaters. So the dinosaurs are living a jolly good time in floodwaters. That doesn't make sense. That shouldn't be happening. I mean, if young Earth creationism was true, that wouldn't be happening. That doesn't make sense. But that's what the young Earth creationist has to explain, because that's what the fossil record says. But we will talk a lot more about fossils in the next video. But I wanted to mention that just because I found it funny, and it's in one of these articles. Okay?
Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. And also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and join my Discord. Links to Twitter and Discord will be in the description. This is the Dark Knight Apologist, and I just wanted to say, see you next time.